Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Manny from Heaven's Pantry, and we have a special honored guest today. Noemi, want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello. My name is Noemie. I'm from France, but I live in Canada, and we met in the US.
Absolutely. So a little bit of a backstory. I was a I was a first year robotic process automation specialist back in Mars Incorporated. Great company to work for. I've definitely learned a lot while I was there before moving on to my next venture. Had great you know had a great manager and made some great friends along the way, including yourself. So
Yeah.
it's it's an absolute pleasure having you back on our show. And and yeah. I wanted to talk about some of the things that you have been accomplishing in the CPG industry as a leader.
Oh wow, that's a big question. I'm taking over the family business, which is based in France.
Mhm.
We are basically a distributor for snacks, basically sweet snacks, all over France. Usually, our suppliers are all over Europe. They are making biscuits, cookies, pastries, stuff like that, and we are basically helping them to go to the French market because it's pretty tough. And we are selling under supermarket chains labels or under our brand. And I'm trying to do the same thing in Canada, so that's why I'm there. And so yeah, I'm basically helping European supplier of sweet snacks to go in Canada with supermarket Canadian chains brand or with their brand. So distribution, basically.
So, one of the hardest parts in the world of business is penetrating a new market, entering a market that you have previously not entered before. That is always one of the
Hmm.
hardest endeavors that any business leader can take because ultimately you're dealing with a new culture, you're dealing with
Yeah.
you're dealing with new customer preferences,
Hmm.
you're dealing with new laws and regulations as
Yeah.
well.
Well, I think for me at the beginning it was a network because when I arrived in Canada, I just had my friends from college and
Mhm.
university, but nobody in my area. So I think the more difficult thing was definitely to get the network, and then to when I get it, it was to for them to trust me, to make my place, to show them what I was capable of doing. But because I'm coming from a family business, it was, I think, a little easier because I can show what we made in France, and my father is still behind me. So I think it's a little bit more. A little bit more security for them. But after that, I think regulation is not that bad because we have um, something commercial agreement between Canada and France, so that's easier. um,
The key
but
word is easier, not easy, but easier.
yeah, yeah, it makes it easier, but it's not easy because also because of all everything that is happening in the business world with the transportation fees that's going up and all the raw material are going up. So it's that's why I'm saying it's easier, but it's not easy. Definitely not at this time.
So a lot of people to deal with the rising prices,
Hmm.
they have certain financial instruments or certain contracts have, such as, for example, a futures contract for the price of cocoa,
Yeah.
etc. What do you think is the best way for a a person in the CPG industry to deal with rising prices of pretty much everything?
Yeah, it's pretty much everything. I don't know because um well, contracts, for example, are not I know are just not here anymore.
Mhm.
Because we just can't sell with the price that we made at the beginning of the year. It's just impossible. So we make the our client choose, either we stop the product or they accept our increases. And that's basically everything that is happening. It's from at the very low of, for example, the raw materials. They are doing the same. So if there is no raw materials, there is no biscuits. And when we distribute the biscuits, it's the same. Our supplier is saying, well, if you don't accept the price, or if your clients in France don't accept the price, we just can't sell you anything. In We don't want to lose money, so we have to increase prices. So it's just we don't really have instrument or anything at the moment. It's just pure chaos.
Pure chaos is literally the best way that I can think of
Yeah, it
describing the world
is.
right now.
It
But
is.
as business people, it's our job to create order out of the chaos.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Uh, it's people that it's people that have an idea, who want to implement it, execute it, put it into action. That's
Mm-hmm.
literally what makes the world a better place at the end of the day, and that's why I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of respect for people like yourself. You know,
Thank you.
I I do have a question in regards to entering a new market. What do
Mm-hmm.
you consider when before evaluating a potential market, and what should people be considering?
Well, that's something that I'm still figuring it out. So I would say right now, now that I have the network, I think it's easier to go to see the people who are actually deciding of what kind of product they want, and just listen
Mhm.
to them. And they are the best people who can tell you all the insights. So if they want, for example, I have one client, they are doing a European collection for biscuits. So that's very interesting, but they are not telling me anything about what kind of product they
Ah,
want.
so you're supposed to help them out. You're supposed to help them
Exactly.
out, but they're not telling you any
No.
details that can help you help them out.
No, because they don't know what they want, really. So they are just brainstorming at the same time as me, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, so we want something like this, something European, but not too much, because it needs to be liked by the Canadian people too." So it's always a balance. So I think it's just maybe listening to your potential client, and looking a lot of what they are doing at the moment. For example, the European collection in biscuits, they have a lot of chocolate based biscuits. So I'm wondering if that's something. So maybe I'm trying to get more into, oh, see, it's a biscuit with chocolate, it's from Europe. Maybe you would like it because you are doing it already, and maybe you are more in this kind of product than just a plain biscuits, for example. So yeah, I'm just observing and trying to listen the best I can, my potential clients.
I definitely think you have a passion for best serving your clients, understanding their
Hmm.
needs.
Yeah.
I will tell you one thing though. I don't know about you, but when I'm in that brainstorming phase, I absolutely don't know what I want.
No, exactly. I don't
Yeah.
either. And but that's the thing. It's always, even if you're not really doing anything, or you don't know what you want. Um, I think that at the end you're still making steps
Mhm.
forward. And at the end, even if it takes a year or 2 years, but at the end you will
Or
have
even
the
three.
perfect product. Yeah. Five even, but sometimes it takes a long time before you figuring out the one product that they want. And when they do, and when you're, it's like a perfect harmony, and it just work. But nobody see, it's like the iceberg. You never People never see what you're doing before, but it takes a long time, and at the end you have the final product and it works, and it's just like this. But it takes a lot of brainstorm before.
I definitely know that feeling. So when I started the Excalibur with my friend
Hmm.
Rob and Justin, we used to cut them by hand in the kitchen.
I
Before we
remember I tried one of those first samples.
they got upgraded, by the way. They got upgraded. Yep. So
I
they
have
got
to try them again then.
absolutely. Next time you're in, in the United
I will.
States, I'll get you a box completely on the house as a thank you for doing this
Thank
interview.
you.
You are very welcome. You're very welcome, my friend. But yeah, we ended up tweaking it, and we ended up getting it in a factory.
Hmm.
And the hardest part is, you know, the hardest part is that when you're mass producing a particular item, it's
Hmm.
so hard to keep it true to the original taste
Yeah.
while while scaling it up. Is that something that you deal with as often as well?
Well, we don't manufacture, so we don't have this problem that often,
Mhm,
but sometimes we are developing one special product for the French market.
mhm.
For example, a cereal bar. That's happened sometimes. So the manufacturers send us what they call the kitchen sample. So they
Yep.
made it in a kitchen, trying to get the best product as close as what they are doing on the line. And then when they are doing it on the line, yeah, it's always different. It's thinner because it's made by machinery. It's more compact. It's so yes, it's different. Um but but sometimes, yeah, we send some kitchen samples to our clients just to see if we are on the right path before manufacturing them on the line. um but yeah, it happens. It depends. Also, sometimes we have the opposite problem. The product is already manufactured and the client wants to change some things,
Mhm.
but it's too hard to do on the line. It's just going. You can change the recipe for just one client in one box, or even one pallet if it's a big
Yeah,
company.
it's
It's
like,
impossible.
it's like at 11 o'clock p.m. in the evening, you finish sending out your slide deck or your report, and then
Mm-hmm.
the manager pings you and says, "Hey, please change this."
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's impossible for us. We say it now that we have, well, our supplier, our big manufacturer, so we know at the beginning that even if we are using one of their products just like that, we can change the recipe. But if we are developing something, yes, we can make changes. But after that, all clients have the same product, and because it's easier to manage for them.
So I have my own thoughts on this,
Mm-hmm.
but I know you definitely have your own thoughts as well, and I want to hear your
Probably.
thoughts first. I want to hear
Okay.
your thoughts first before I share mine. What is the biggest difference between the tastes of Americans like myself,
Mm-hmm.
and I shouldn't say like myself because I'm definitely not the typical American in terms of palate or taste preferences. Uh, but what is the difference between the average American's taste palette?
Mhm.
I don't know, like the guy sitting across over there.
Mhm.
Uh, what is the difference in taste preference for Americans, Canadians,
Mhm.
and French audiences?
I would say in North America, so United States and Canada,
Mhm,
I would say you have a more very sweet tooth.
mhm. That's one thing I've
Definitely
noticed.
sweeter than us in France. But I would say between Canada and United States, I would say that United States is even more sweeter than Canadian. Um, But other than that, yeah, for example, I have the best example that is so weird for me. It's popcorn. In France, we eat popcorn at the movie theater and it's sweet.
Oh, I love
Y-
sweet popcorn, like
yeah.
coated in caramel, right?
Well, it's just sweet. It's just sweet popcorn like with sugar and that's it. It's not even caramel.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
good, and I really like it. And we grew up with sweet popcorn at the movie theater. But when you come to North America, so Canada and United States, it's salty when you go to the movie theater, and sometimes they put butter on it, but it's not really butter, which is so weird for me.
I could tell you for a fact it's not butter. It's some weird like chemical
Yeah, no, it's
cocktail that
not
they,
butter.
yeah, that
It's
they
just some
slap on.
liquid,
It's some
yellow
liquid
liquid.
some liquid goop. That's what I'll call it.
Yeah.
Some mush. Yeah. So, so ultimately, you would say that ultimately you would say that on a scale of mild to sweet, you would put France at the mild side,
Hmm.
Canada somewhere leaning towards sweet, but uh,
A
but
little
like
less.
a little bit less. And America's like
Yeah.
boom, super sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Why do you
so.
think this is?
I don't know. Well, also more thing is your fruits or vegetables don't have taste. It's like water. It doesn't really have the
You
taste
can
of the
thank
because
you can thank
you're
genetically modified organisms for that.
yeah, yeah, probably also because you're yeah using a lot of chemicals to grow fruits because you have so much people to feed. Instead, in France, I'm from the south of France, so I have grapes in my garden and peaches and apricot, and well, I'm just taking it from the tree, so it's really tasty, and we don't treat them, so it's very tasty. It's sugary. It's yeah, it's juicy. It's really good. But in America, in North America, in general, in Canada as well, well, yeah, fruits, vegetables don't really taste that much like a
S-
fruit or
So I'll
vegetable.
So I'll tell you my thoughts on this. I'll tell you my thoughts on the whole
Hmm.
flavor spectrum and
Yeah.
why I think our country has a serious problem. This is a problem that I'm
Mm.
trying to rectify. This is a
Mhm.
problem that I'm trying to fix. For the nation, and obviously understand that I'm one guy. I'm one
Yeah.
small company, but there's this there was this book that was written called the Salt, Sugar, and Fat Trifecta. This is a
Okay.
book that was introduced to me when I was in university, and the
Mhm.
salt, sugar, and fat trifecta states that so right now we live in modern times, and it's crazy how the standard of living for the average person is higher than the standard of living for even like kings and princes like back in
Mhm.
the back in the 1000s. And
Yeah.
I know it's silly to think of, but like a lot of the things that we have like in modern society we often take for granted. Like for example,
Mhm.
not have not having to go outside and hunt and forage for food,
Yeah.
having cars that can take you from point A to B.
Mhm.
You can, except back in the day, if you want to get from point A to B, that was a 5 mile walk, and you're doing it on foot. So
Mhm.
you're walking the whole entire way. So what I'm saying is that we, as a species, we evolved to prefer certain tastes because it benefited our survival. So
Mhm.
we crave salt as a species because before they had factories, before they had salt mines, uh, salt was really rare. And
Mhm.
when you saw salts in your diet, you try to get as much of it as possible. Sugar,
Yeah.
why do we crave sugar so much? Because sugar is the most easily convertible form of energy. That is
Yeah.
exactly why people crave sugar and fats, dense in calories. If this was 4,000 years ago and I was a caveman like hunting for food, I want every
Mhm.
last bit of energy that I can get. And that's why, as a
Yeah.
species, we crave salt, sugar, and fat. And I think the American food industry, they definitely exploit how as a species we crave those three items. So a lot of food manufacturers in the
Mhm.
states, they'll literally put copious amounts of actually all three of these salts, sugars,
Yeah.
and fats, so that people
Definitely.
become really addicted to the food.
Yeah,
That's enough.
probably. And also because you are a newer country, if you think about it. So
Mhm.
when the European came to the United States and Canada, I think they just wanted to take over this new world, and
Yep.
they just they needed so much food to feed all the people that were there, and they wanted to grow very fast to modernize the countries, and because it was a little less modern than in the Europe,
Yeah.
so they wanted to modernize, and for that they developed a lot of tools and a lot of companies and stuff like that, and it just grow and grow and grow and grow, and it was definitely faster than in Europe. So I think that's probably maybe one of the factors that's why they needed to maybe increase the production and use more salt and sugar and chemicals. It's probably why too. I don't know.
That's enough of me making fun of my own country. I feel I feel like that's enough of me
No,
making
it's
fun of my
not
own country
bad.
for the day.
It's not all bad. It's because you definitely, for example, you invented McDonald's, and then now it's all over the world. I'm not saying it's the best thing in the world, but it gives joy to people, and sometimes it's not bad if
Oh, it
you're not.
definitely gave. it definitely gave a lot of joy to me when I was a broke college
Yeah.
student. When I
And
saw
sometimes
like
you just want to eat McDonald's. That's fine.
when I
It's
saw
not.
20 chicken nuggets for like $8, like
Yeah.
me in college, just saw that I was like, wait, this is a deal of a lifetime. During
Exactly.
during finals week, like I would literally live
Yeah.
off McDonald's nuggets.
Oh my god. That's so American of you.
It is. I might as well put on my cowboy hat right now. So, so what advice would you give to people entering your industry? Let's say, you rewind yourself 10 years back in time. Um, what would you have how would you prepare yourself for this, you know, for where you are today? What would you have done differently?
That's a good question. Well, I don't think I would do anything really differently because everything that I did led me to my career. For
Mm,
example, if I didn't intern at Mars, I wouldn't know that I wouldn't like to be in big companies, for example. No, I really like my internship at Mars. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't see myself do this for the rest of my life. So, for example, that's one thing. But also, I discovered at Mars that I love strategy. So maybe that's what led me to building a company or taking over the family business because I like this part of the business, like the strategy and how we can grow and what we can do. Um, so yeah, I don't think I would
So
do something different.
you like strategy, so that means you're the chess master, moving the different pieces in the background.
Well, my father is still in charge for now, but yeah, I have a lot to say, and I can do it because he trusts me now, and I think he really likes my idea, and he sees that it's coming from reflection, and it's not just oh, we can do that and see what's going on. It's yeah,
So I have a theory why
it's
a lot of people, especially millennials and Gen Z, gravitate away from big companies. I
mm-hmm,
think the I think the reason why people gravitate away from big companies, and I've definitely I've been very fortunate that I've been in positions where I can truly influence the culture, where I can truly
mm-hmm,
make some sort of change happen. I've always tried my best to make that change happen. But I think the problem with big companies is that people are more afraid to make mistakes
yeah, yeah,
and
definitely,
than do the right thing.
yeah,
People are because I'll give you an example. Let's say let's say you worked at a big company, okay?
mm-hmm,
And let's say I was the director, and then you said, "Hey, there's something there's something that we can do. It might lose the company, $100,000,
yeah,
or it can make the company $1 million. There's a
mm-hmm,
50% chance that it'll make the company $1 million. There's a 50% chance that it's going to lose the company $100,000. In a lot of big companies, someone like myself would shoot that idea down because they're afraid. They're
yeah.
more afraid of losing that 100,000 than making the 1 million.
Yeah. And also it takes a long time to make a decision in big
Hmm.
companies. So sometimes you lose the momentum too because sometimes you need to get decision fast in business because there is an opportunity and you have to take it. But then if you have to ask your boss who has to ask his boss and etc for a big decision and then they
And
come back to you,
and then his boss
then
realizes he has to ask his peer in a different
Ex-
department because they actually have the
exactly.
authority.
Yeah, because sometimes you need like from different department a decision from everyone. For example, the marketing has something to say, the finance department has something to say, whatever your department is, you have something to say, and then you have to
And then
come
they yell at
together
each
and
other
it's
and nothing gets
going
done.
to, yeah. And if someone says no, what is happening? It takes longer, or you just forget the project. It's so
Usually the latter.
yeah,
Usually they
it's
forget
so
about it.
frustrating. So frustrating. I can't.
S- So I think that those are definitely reasons why a lot of people are turned off from big companies. And I think
Hmm.
I think another reason why a lot of millennials are staying away from big companies is because when you're in a big company, you feel like you're one gear
Hmm. Yeah.
in a machine of like 50,000 gears.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
and you could be the best skier in the world. You can turn like 3 times quicker than all the other gears, but
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, you're just one gear out of 50,000.
Yeah, yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I think there is a lot of reason. I'm just saying big companies are all bad. Is not what I
I don't
say,
think they are. I personally
but
work for a big company, and I
yeah,
really
and
enjoy
I
it.
loved interning for Mars, even if it's big one, and I definitely learned a lot. But also because in my family there is a business, it was important for me to participate in that too, so that was a big part of my decision. If there wasn't a family business involved, would have go alone in entrepreneurship? I don't know, maybe at some point, but maybe not that young.
So for me, my so for me, my parents will always tell me stories of my ancestors,
Mm-hmm.
who were involved in a business, who were involved in you know in entrepreneurship. They never had like a proper like succession plan. So like
Yeah.
eventually that e- e- eventually that went away. But
Mm-hmm.
I would hear those stories about people like doing their own thing, and that always like that sense of freedom always got me really really
Yeah.
inspired. It was definitely that sense of like freedom, and also that sense of utter ownership as well. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you do well, great job, you did well. If you did
Yeah,
poorly, well, you got to
it's on
fix it.
you.
It's on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that's true. No, I really like it too.
Excellent. Well, Noemi, I want to say it truly was a pleasure having you on our show today. Do you have any final words you would like to give to our audience today? And where can they best follow your brand on social media?
Well, I would say, well, for our brand, we're not really on social media because we are on B2B. So we're not really on social media, but you can definitely follow me. For example, on LinkedIn, I'm pretty active because it's more businessy. So I
Yep.
really like it. And also, I just released. Well, I released a book last year, but I translated in English just last week. So it just went out on Amazon. It's working with your family, so it was to help young people to see if the family business is for them or not, just to help them in their reflection, to see if it's something that they would like to try or not, and all the discussion that you may have to have with your parents or whoever is in business. So that's my book.
Everyone watching this, please, show your support and buy the book. I can
Thank you.
assure you, I can assure you, Noemi has some very good, very interesting stories to tell. Great stories, and is also a very talented writer as well. Uh,
Thank
y-
you.
so, once again, very happy to have you on this show. And this is
Well,
Manny from.
thank you for having me. That was a
It's our
pleasure.
it's our absolute pleasure, and this is Manny from Heaven's Pantry signing off.